Good morning, everyone. My name is Lorraine Cunningham, and I'm the chair of the TransLink board, and I'd like to welcome you to today's joint meeting of the TransLink board and Mayor's Council. At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Mayor West, as chair of the Mayor's Council, will be co-chairing our joint meeting, and I will act as the chair for the first part of the meeting. Before we begin, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the agenda, which was sent to all members and posted publicly on Friday. Can I have a motion to approve? Thank you. And a seconder? Thank you. And all in favor? Thank you. That's carried. I'd like to start by saying that we respect the Indigenous nations within Metro Vancouver and acknowledge all First Nations, Inuit and Métis people for their continued resilience, sustainable stewardship, and as active members of the community for generations to come. We recognize that in planning and managing this region's transportation system that we have a role to play in supporting the reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the tragic events that unfolded at the Lapu-Lapu Day festival that is meant to celebrate the beautiful Filipino culture and community. This devastating incident has already had deep and lasting effect on the community, and our hearts go out to the victims, their families, and all those impacted. In honor of those lost and in solidarity for those that are grieving, I ask that we observe a moment of silence to reflect on the lives that were tragically cut short and renew our commitment to fostering safe and compassionate communities for all. So we have a lot of items. So I have an adoption of the agenda. We did that. We have a lot of items to discuss today. And before we get started, I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge today's important milestone. The 2025 investment plan represents months of hard work across the organization, and it's more than just a document. It's clear and forward-looking roadmap to how we will deliver on our shared commitments for this region. This plan responds to some of the most pressing challenges facing Metro Vancouver, from affordability and climate change to regional growth, and it reflects the values and priorities we've heard from our communities. It sets the stage for continued investment in a transit system that supports people's daily lives, strengthens our economy, and advances a more sustainable future. I'll let Kevin and Sarah speak to the details later this morning, but I want to personally thank the entire team who have brought us to this point. Your dedication, collaboration, and expertise have been critical in getting us here. So let's proceed with the public delegations. Each delegate has 3 minutes to speak, and we'll begin with Balbir Mann. So can I ask Balbir to come forward? Welcome.
Thank you.
You seem a long way away, but we can all see you, so welcome.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Balbir Mann, and I'm president of Unifor Local 111, which is the union that represents over 4,000 drivers of Coast Mountain Bus Company. Firstly, I want to thank you, the Mayor's Council, for giving me this opportunity to speak here today. I would like to speak on the overcrowding the bus drivers and overall public are experiencing. Due to lack of service, buses are constantly full. These are 60-footers, for example, leaving Joy Station, already full by the time they leave their first stop on the way to UBC. At every stop, driver has to tell passengers waiting at the next stop, the bus is full. The drivers are being berated by passengers due to being passed up by multiple buses, which is causing passengers to be late for work, school for appointments, and other important events. It is causing friction between our operators and passengers. If operators engage in a conversation with the passenger and they complain to CMBC, the operator gets disciplined without solving the issue by putting out more service. This is one bus line, for an example, in the Lower Mainland. It is much more worse in south of the Fraser. Now we have funding. Instead of planning new rapid buses, for example, Burnaby Heights, we recommend increasing service to our current routes. We need to fix this before we bring in new routes. There are many other things I want to bring up. I know I'm limited to time, and I do want to address one more issue here. The community shuttle buses had plastic barriers in the buses. Employer decided to remove all of them, not to replace them. One worker should not, or any worker should not be treated differently. We have barriers in conventional buses. All conventional bus drivers are protected well at work by a barrier. All bus drivers have right. Drivers should have right, feel safe while at work. And I understand it's operational. We are trying everything we can, but we're not seeing any cooperation from CMBC on this issue. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Can I ask Chris Ng if he's here and available? Welcome, Chris.
Which mic should I use?
I think either one.
Good morning. I'd like to thank the Mayor's Council for coming to a resolution on funding. That being said, I believe that the measures taken could have gone further. For instance, one of the sources of funding is a $20 increase in the property tax, followed by a $20 decrease elsewhere. And I say this as a resident and not an advocate. I would be very happy to pay $50 or even $100 to save the bus. To conclude, although I'm very happy that the existing measures, that the existing levels of funding has at least been kept, or at least I think there's a slight increase, and I thank the mayors for doing so, I really implore the mayors to look at even more funding measures to keep the city going. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chris. Nathan Davidovich. Welcome, Nathan.
Thank you, chairs and members of both TransLink board. The new transit deal announced on April the 10th is not sufficient, and we should demand a better deal. But first we have to have a proper open governance of TransLink. The same way that municipalities have open meeting rules, we cannot have a transit agency where most of the business is done in closed meetings. TransLink board had 50 meetings in 2024, only 4 were open to the public. The present minister, Mike Farrant, in charge of TransLink, is the same minister that was in charge 25 years ago, and he and former Deputy Premier Joey McPhail, as well as bad GVRD staff, got us this bad TransLink organization and governance. We need pro-transit premiers like Dave Barrett and Mike Harcourt. Another former minister, Kevin Falcon, completely changed TransLink in 2007 with a new act and 2 board of directors like the bad BC Ferries Corporation. Without a proper democratic governance, we will keep making lots of mistakes. Even if we get more money, that money will not be spent wisely. There is lots of waste at TransLink 10 operating companies. We have the highest average transit fares in Canada. We need a long-term funding arrangement, not 1, 2, or 3-year arrangements. We need to return to 1979 when the GVRD and member municipalities were in charge. The federal government is to blame for not funding, for not providing any operational funding to TransLink. They do provide operational funding for the BC Bus North. The $3 billion per year federal transit fund is not enough, and it's about the same amount of money that was spent over the last 10 years. Overall, Canada is spending on transit is way behind other progressive countries in the world. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Nathan. And is Dennis Agar here? Welcome, Dennis.
Let's get this. Okay. Great. Thank you so much all for having me. I'm Dennis Agar. I'm the Executive Director of Movement, Metro Vancouver Transit Riders. We got a few of our team here as well. I'm really grateful for the 5% increase in bus service in the investment plan. There's a lot of exciting stuff that it's going to be able to pay for. One of the things in the package of goodies is that I'm really excited about is the 388 running all day in Surrey. It's essentially the only east-west route, and it's been running in peaks only for as long as it's existed. And I remember ages ago, as a TransLink planning staff, it was so clear that this one had a huge potential to massively shorten the trips of the people that really needed shorter trips. If it only ran all day, even with its limited schedule, running peaks only, it became so popular that it was passing people up back in 2018 when it was upgraded to a big bus. So I think we can expect a big ridership boost with the 388 going all day. And I'm also excited about the new route that's proposed on 68th, further south in Surrey. If you look at demographic maps of Surrey, you find that this area south of 72nd, south of Scottsdale, really has the greatest need. It has really high density, a high proportion of people with low incomes, some of the highest amounts of children anywhere in the region, and now they're gonna have a bus route, finally. I'm gonna also just throw out here one anecdote from one of our supporters, Ray McDonald. He's a senior in Burnaby, and he has a visual impairment, and he spoke at our rally in Metrotown. He's been diligently emailing politicians whenever we ask him to. He rides the 119 in Burnaby, which is on Kingsway, and he constantly sees people passed up with the sign, "Sorry, bus full." This is actually one of the routes that's been cut back since 2020. TransLink's been moving buses to address even more severe overcrowding, usually in Surrey. But now in 2025, these buses that have been cut back are seeing crowding too. Ray was traveling with his wife who uses a walker, and they were passed up by a bus simply because she had the walker and it took up more space. And they barely got onto the next bus, which started passing people up at the next stop. What was interesting to me about this story is that the 119 never shows up in the list of like top ranked overcrowding routes. And it means that this investment plan may not make it all the way down the list to solve Ray's problem. And this is really what's driving us at Movement to keep going. And you know as well as I do, there's lots of need in this region. And it's been exciting to see when we boost service on routes like the R6, the new rapid bus, riders appear. This kind of virtuous circle is why even the BC Trucking Association put out a blog post saying they support a new revenue tool for transit funding. And so, it's ultimately a blessing to have that level of consensus and that high transit demand and the growth in demand. So we're going to keep going. And ultimately, we want to be a part of the big conversation about how to fund it. We realize that that's going to be kind of a painful conversation, maybe one that some electeds aren't super looking forward to, like, let's find a new way to raise money. But what we're going to do is try and make it as fun as we can. We're cooking up kind of a Dragon's Den type event so that the public and key regional organizations can talk through all the different options. Teams will pitch their favorite option, whether it's vehicle levy, road pricing, whatever. Some will be more complicated than others, but I'm hopeful that at the end we'll end up with a few revenue tools that have popular support, or at least maybe find the ones that have the least opposition. So that's my spiel. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your enthusiasm. Can I ask Michelle Scarr if she's here? Michelle, welcome.
Hello and good morning, mayors. My name is Michelle, and I'm a daily transit rider. I'm also the Director of Operations and Strategy at Movement Metro Vancouver Transit Riders. I hope you've heard of us by now, since a few of our members and our executive director just spoke. And we rallied transit riders and supporters to send 3,000 emails to you. Another 3,000 were sent to MLAs. And we even had a rally in the pouring rain just outside of here with 300 transit supporters. First of all, thank you for saving the bus. Today is the culmination of months of work. So thank you, thank you. We talked to countless transit riders who were terrified of losing their local bus. Almost 1/3 of the population can't drive, and the transit riders I spoke to were terrified of losing their lifeline to go to work, to get groceries, and to their families and communities. I'm a Burnaby resident, and when I saw the 101 on the chopping block, my heart sank. Without my local bus, I'm looking at a 25-minute walk from the next closest bus or a 40-minute walk from the SkyTrain. Now, I enjoy the occasional hike, but I'm not trying to do that on my way to work. For an able-bodied person like myself, this is surmountable, but there are serious accessibility problems that arise with cutting back on bus routes. So it's a relief that the 101 and the other locals get to stay. I'm also looking forward to the R2 extension. Years ago, one summer, I was living in Burnaby and I had a job in North Van, and taking transit there was a long journey with a number of transfers, and I would often end up calling my dad to pick me up or spending more than my hourly earnings on an Evo to get home because the bus journey would have just been too long and it was too late. An Evo that I couldn't even park directly outside of my house in Burnaby, since Evos are only allowed to be parked in parts of Burnaby. At that time, I don't think it was anywhere in Burnaby. Anyways, the R2 extension will truly improve access for workers and for students, and I'm so thankful that it's part of the plan. But I know the work isn't done, and we will be here to urge you to go further. The Access for Everyone plan calls for 10% increase in service, not the approved 5%, and our region is growing. Transit faces so many issues that could be addressed by better funding, like the overcrowding mentioned earlier, and this plan won't address them all. Transit is a solution for mobility, for the climate, for affordability, and it's very, very popular here. The return on investment from transit is incredible, and it's a winning issue. So thank you again to my Mayor Hurley, and to all the mayors and to all the MLAs, to all of you, thank you for saving the bus.
Thank you very much, Michelle. And our last speaker is Kayla Epstein. Welcome, Kayla.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kyla Epstein. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the Director of Government Relations and Strategic Partnerships for BCIT, the British Columbia Institute of Technology. Thank you for providing me with the time to speak today. I'm here to express BCIT's support for TransLink's 2025 investment plan. As you may know, BCIT is one of the largest polytechnic institutions in Canada, with 5 campuses in the Metro Vancouver region celebrating our 60th anniversary. We have over 300 programs, which we encourage all of you to explore, and over 43,000 students, one of whom is in the room today, and some alumni I heard are here as well. So we're very proud of them. We have over 7,500 students of that 43,000 living south of the Fraser, which is a 48% increase from just 2 years ago, along with over 500 of our employees in that region. The proposed service increases in this plan will help both our current and prospective students connect to their educational opportunities, and employees like myself connect to our workplaces. We want to specifically bring attention to the benefits of the proposed R2 rapid bus extension to Metrotown for our Burnaby campus at 3700 Willingdon. This is our largest BCIT campus and home to hundreds of specialized learning spaces and a diverse student body. The R2 extension will provide a direct, express, all-day, everyday connection between Burnaby and the North Shore, as well as from nearby SkyTrain stations. This investment will facilitate easier access for our students, many of whom rely on public transportation for their daily commutes. Just yesterday, a student told one of our student life ambassadors that taking transit from the Burnaby campus back into Vancouver is always a hassle. The 25 bus on Willingdon is usually delayed with long wait times between buses, and it's unfortunate that at times my daily commute can take me over 3 hours. And on any given day, our BCIT campus has hundreds of skilled trades workers coming to our campus prepared to meet the economic needs that Canada and BC has. Most of their programs start at 7 a.m., and we've heard complaints of inconsistent and long wait times for buses from both Metrotown and Brentwood. If you are coming to school that early, knowing you can count on reliable and rapid transit is critical. This September, BCIT will open a new student housing right on Willingdon, doubling our on-campus housing numbers. As you may know, our campus exists in somewhat of a food desert. Students who live on campus do their food shopping near Metrotown or Brentwood, and the R2 line will improve their quality of life with better access to groceries. For students who come from south of the Fraser, the commute is long, and speeding up any part of it means less time they have to spend on transit, more time they can spend focused on their studies and with their families. We also hear from students that long waits for buses are not only inconvenient, but can lead to an increased feelings of a lack of a safety, especially while waiting after their evening classes when leaving campus. We believe that TransLink's investment plan will have a profound positive impact on Metro Vancouver's region by stabilizing the public transit system that our students and employees rely on and supporting the region's economic growth, just like our grads are doing every day. BCIT is proud to stand with TransLink in this endeavor. We look forward to the successful implementation of all the initiatives proposed, and especially the R2 extension. Thank you for considering the needs of educational institutes when you consider this plan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kyla, and I apologize for misspoken.
Don't worry, it'll
your
happen
name.
more than once today.
All right, we're going to move to item number 3 on our agenda, which is the investment plan consultation results. And I'm going to ask Steve Vanagas to come forward and make a presentation. We have a brief resolution here that we receive this report as presented. So we'll listen to Steve and then we'll receive our report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. So you have a memo in front of you in your package. I'm just going to summarize the engagement process that we undertook. We would typically do this for investment plans. We give a 2-week period to receive feedback on the information we provide on the investment plan and the investment plan itself. And we offer a number of ways to review that proposed investment plan and get that feedback. So we prepared a discussion guide that's available on our website. We also did a 2-page summary in traditional Chinese, simplified Chinese, and Punjabi. We have a dedicated email inbox as well as a voicemail box to receive input in those ways as well. And then we notified a number of key stakeholder groups and reached out to them to make sure that they saw the proposed investment plan and had that opportunity to provide feedback. So we did receive kind of a common amount of feedback that we would typically get this level of feedback from our investment plans. As you see in the slide in front of you, we had over 300 comments that came in a variety of ways. Also received some emails and voicemails and 21 letters of support. Now, summarizing the comments that we heard, it's really all over the map, a real cross-section of feedback that we heard, a wide range of responses, none of them really dominating the feedback in any way. There were calls for all communities to be served equitably, support for the maintenance of service, avoiding cuts. Some asked for more funding. Some asked for more funding in particular parts of the region and on particular routes. There were comments on sustainable transportation, more regional connections, and more long-term planning. So as I said, the comments were really all over the map, and there was no really predominant theme in any of it. I did read all of the comments, and I can say there was really no predominant theme. Overall, we saw just over 38% of feedback overall was positive, very supportive of the plan as is. Only about 10% were negative towards the plan. And I'll note that some of those negative comments were negative because we were not spending or investing enough in transit. Mind you, these are all pretty small sample sizes in the grand scheme of things. And then one final, I'll also note finally, that we received 21 letters of support from stakeholders right around the region, business community, student groups, housing groups, chambers of commerce, boards of trade, whole cross-section of community groups in support of the proposed investment plan. Really large number of letters of support, as we've been out there for a long time talking about investing in transit. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of support for that from community groups around the region. So I'll stop there, Chair, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Steve. Do we have any questions for Steve in regards to this report? I just noted the number of letters, and it was really interesting to read the material and the feedback. So I thought that was great, Steve. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so a motion to receive. Thank you. Seconder? All in favor? Thank you. All right, item number 4 on the agenda, which is kind of like the big part of our day. I'm going to invite Kevin up and Sarah. And then we'll move to questions and discussions before Brad West and I call for motions for each from the board and from the Mayor's Council. So Kevin, over to you. Thank you.
Good morning, Board of Directors. Good morning, Mayor's Council. Thank you so much for having us. Further to the Chair's comments at the beginning of the meeting, I just also want to note that the TransLink family is absolutely heartbroken by the tragedy that occurred at the Lapu Lapu Day Block party in Vancouver over the weekend. We really stand by all those affected by this event, and I want to reinforce our commitment to continue to provide support in any way we can. Today, April 30th, is an important date, and it's one that we've talked about for quite some time, one that we've planned for and worked toward. It marks a pivotal moment for the future of Metro Vancouver, and the decisions that are made today will help really shape the pace and the progress of how we serve this growing region. And with your approval, we can move forward with historic investments that expand service, that ease overcrowding, and deliver on the priorities set out in the Access for Everyone plan. Priorities that the public has told us clearly that they support. As Steve just outlined, with nearly 70% of public feedback positive or neutral, our public consultation really reinforced how important unlocking these investments are to our region. As you know, our road here has not been easy. The pressures facing our region are real and they are growing. Our population has reached 3 million people, and every week, 1 million of those people rely on transit. But at peak times, as you've heard from our delegates today, persistent overcrowding on transit means people are being left behind. At the same time, congestion is worsening, the climate crisis is accelerating, and our region continues to experience affordability challenges. I think all of us here can agree that a strong transportation system is critical for our region's well-being, keeping people and goods moving. And as pressures persist, the importance of a robust regional transportation system will only continue to grow. For the past several years, TransLink has been facing a structural deficit due to declining fuel tax revenue, lower fare recovery, and rising costs. By the end of next year, without this investment plan, we face a fiscal cliff that, without action, could lead to half of transit services cut. Last year, we took very real and meaningful steps to find efficiencies that would avoid these cuts. This included rolling out a series of efficiency measures, including cost-cutting and revenue-generating initiatives worth $90 million annually. And this included reducing headcount by eliminating unfilled corporate roles, reducing contract work by bringing more services in-house, reducing training budgets, and increasing our fare evasion enforcement. And we took these steps to protect frontline transit services for as long as possible, but they will not be enough to solve our financial challenges. The 2025 investment plan changes that. It significantly reduces the funding gap through new revenues and cost savings, fully funds operations through 2027, and cuts our deficit nearly in half beginning in 2028. It also delivers the biggest bus service expansion since 2018, advances bus rapid transit design, adds HandyDART and West Coast Express capacity, and boosts road network improvements. It will allow us to provide some relief for our most overcrowded routes and expand service to previously unserved communities, including industrial areas and transit-oriented communities. This plan really does mark a pivotal moment for the region and a new chapter for TransLink. It helps us respond to today's pressures and secures a stronger, more sustainable future for Metro Vancouver. And as we look ahead to implementing these critical investments starting as early as this fall, I can't help but think of the new opportunities that this plan unlocks for the region, whether it's to one of the 8 new service areas we're starting service in, or one of the dozens of new routes we're enhancing to provide better service. This investment plan is about better connecting our region and ensuring everyone can get where they need to go. This investment plan also establishes a strong foundation for resolving our structural deficit and returning TransLink to financial sustainability. In addition to keeping the organization fully funded through 2027 and cutting the deficit nearly in half starting in 2028, we will remain above accumulated funding reserve policy limits until 2028 and ensuring we're able to continue responsibly managing debt. I want to emphasize that as we move forward, TransLink remains committed to strong fiscal management. In addition to the $90 million in annual cost reductions and new revenue measures I mentioned, we will continue to identify cost efficiencies and savings through the life of this plan. As we continue to build a system that keeps pace with our growing region, strong collaboration between all levels of government will be essential. I'd like to offer my congratulations to Prime Minister Mark Carney on a successful federal election, and we look forward to building on our partnership with the Government of Canada to improve critical public transit infrastructure in Metro Vancouver, and soon finalizing the $1.5 billion funding agreement through the Metro Regional Agreement funding stream of the Canada Public Transit Fund. I'll now introduce Sarah Ross, TransLink's Vice President of Transportation Planning and Policy, to go over the details of the plan before you today.
Thank you and good morning. To support this plan, there are several mechanisms that will fund it to reduce the deficit and unlock new transit service. These are built on the principle that those who benefit from the transportation system have a responsibility to contribute to it. In practice, this looks like a 5% transit fare increase in July 2026, which is equivalent to about 14 cents for the average trip, and 2% annual increases starting in 2027. A $1.50 increase to the YVR ad fare in July 2026, which is the first increase since this fare was introduced in 2009, and that would also grow by 2% per year going forward. I want to note that that primarily impacts tourists to the region, as people who work at YVR are exempt from paying this ad fare, as are anyone who has a monthly or annual pass. There will also be an increase to the off-street parking tax from 24% to 29%. And this works out to be about 40 cents on a $10 parking fee. Property taxes are a very important component of this plan and are our largest source of revenue after transit fares. Increases approved under previous plans will be carried forward. And this year, there will be an increase that equates to about $20 per year to the median property, and then there will be an additional lift in 2027. Finally, the province of British Columbia has committed to introduce a new funding source, subject to the approval of the legislature, and TransLink will be working with the province on the parameters and options for this source. And for immediate support, the province is providing an operating grant of $312 million to reflect an annual contribution of $100 million per year starting in 2025. Ultimately, the 2025 investment plan will improve our financial situation substantially, putting us in a much better position to resolve the remaining deficit and make progress on the Access for Everyone plan in the next investment plan anticipated for 2027. Through this investment plan, we will deliver the largest expansion in bus service since 2018. Starting this September and continuing through 2027, we will see bus services increase by 5%. And this expansion will provide relief from overcrowding on up to 50 of our busiest routes. Now, I want to note that despite expanding service by more than 30% south of the Fraser over the past few years, overcrowding continues to be a very significant problem, as noted by the delegates. And that's why nearly half of this additional service will go towards adding more service south of the Fraser, meaning more service on King George Boulevard, 88th Avenue, Fraser Highway, and all major corridors in Surrey. And to meet growing demand, We will also increase capacity across the system, which means more handy dart trips and added capacity on the West Coast Express. We will add 7 new or improved seasonal services to parks and beaches, making it easier for people to get to places they enjoy, places such as Grouse Mountain, Stanley Park, Centennial Beach in Delta, Terra Nova Park in Richmond, Golden Ears Park in Maple Ridge, Minnetonka Park in Coquitlam, and others. It will also introduce 40 new or improved routes, which will help connect transit-oriented communities and neighborhoods that currently have limited or no service. Some examples shown on this slide include improving access to job sites by adding new routes to industrial areas like Campbell Heights in Surrey, Gloucester in Langley, and Tilbury in Delta. These 3 rapidly growing industrial areas are projected to collectively have more than 40,000 jobs in the next 10 years. Important progress will also be made on bus rapid transit. This plan will fund the next phase of design work for 3 new bus rapid transit corridors, King George Boulevard, Langley to Haney Place, and Metrotown to the North Shore. It will also extend the R2 rapid bus line on the North Shore to Metrotown, unlocking a high-frequency, all-day, everyday connection to and from the North Shore to destinations like Brentwood, BCIT, and Metrotown, further improving high-capacity connections across the region. Finally, investments will be made to keep all road users moving safely and reliably. Funding for pavement rehabilitation on the major road network will be increased by 70%, helping local governments address road deterioration. The local government cost-sharing program will be funded for another year with ongoing support in 2026 for walking, cycling, and road safety projects. And our bus speed and reliability program will be extended also for another year, helping to reduce the amount of time buses are stuck in traffic. And more importantly, the people on those buses are stuck in traffic because we're working very hard to keep customers moving and making transit more cost-effective to deliver. In closing, this plan allows us to continue to do what we do best, which is delivering the transit that the people in Metro Vancouver deserve. Now more than ever, transit is a strategic investment in British Columbia's future. It means that more people can reliably get to work, to school, to connect to opportunities. We're grateful for your leadership as we've navigated the challenges of the past few years and developed this plan. The role you've played to advance these critical initiatives ensures transit will continue to be a catalyst for growth, resilience, and long-term prosperity in the region. Thank you for your time, and Kevin and I are happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Kevin and Sarah. This section is for the board, and then I'm going to transfer the chair over to Mayor West, and then he will facilitate the conversation with the mayors. So are there any questions, comments, feedback from board members in relation to the presentation that we've received? I know I've got some online and I've got some here. This is a conversation that we've been having for several months, so it doesn't surprise me that there isn't any questions. It's like, I think we've really talked this one through a lot. So I just want to say again how much we appreciate all the hard work that's gone into getting to where we are today, and the long hours and the late nights and the long weekends that have really been required to get it to where we are on this very important day of April 30th. So seeing no further hands, we have a motion, and it is on page 53 of your package. And it's in 2 parts, and this is for the TransLink board only. And I won't read the 2 parts to the motion. It is in the package. But can I have a mover and a seconder for that? Andrea, thank you very much. And Gordon, thank you very much. And all in favor? Thank you. So that passes. So I'm going to now thank you all for that vote and pass the chair over to Brad, and he's going to facilitate the conversation with the Mayor's Council. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Lorraine. Before I make some remarks, can I have a mover and seconder for resolutions number 3 and 4 on page number 41 of your agenda package? It's been moved. Seconded. Thank you very much. I'm pleased to make some comments on behalf of the mayors. As has been stated, today's approval of a new investment plan that will deliver the largest transit expansion since 2018 and cut the structural deficit in half is an important milestone for TransLink and an example of elected officials from our region coming together with the province and finding solutions to keep our region moving forward. I want to highlight how important it is that this agreement avoids the service reductions that would have been disastrous for every community in Metro Vancouver. I also want to acknowledge a number of the comments that we heard from the speakers today. And I can tell you that from the mayor's perspective, we're fully cognizant of some of the shortcomings of this agreement and the work that's left to do. I think I can say to you that in that regard, it takes 2 to tango. And if you include the federal government, it takes 3. But we have been able to achieve something that I think moves us forward. I will also share that I can't help but reflect on the months and months and months of tough negotiation that we just underwent. And I appreciate the comment that, well, we should demand better. And I can tell you that if only it were that simple, we would have had it some time ago. But we did have a job to do, and we were able to get the job done. And I'm immensely proud of my colleagues and extend my appreciation as well to Minister Mike Farnworth for delivering this and for getting this job done. That doesn't mean that our work is finished, and we certainly can't sit back and rest on our laurels. Today's approval buys TransLink time until the end of 2027 to find a lasting solution to its financial challenges, to get it to a place where it can deliver the level of new transit service that the people of this region need and deserve. The housing crisis is still here. The affordability crisis is still here. And all of that demands an affordable, high-functioning transportation network that delivers more and better service than we see today. So today's plan, while it does not deliver enough of this new service, it is a start, but it needs to continue. There are 3 steps that we think are critical moving forward to deliver the Access for Everyone plan. And between now and 2027, if we want to set up our region for success, these are the things that we, as the Mayor's Council, will want to work with the provincial and federal government to deliver. Number 1, a new funding model. We've talked about this for years and years, about the need for a new funding model for transit that reduces the reliance on fares and property taxes and is right-sized to deliver the service that this region requires. We've had good discussions with the province, and I think they understand the need for this, but we have to be bold and courageous and move quickly in this area if we want to avoid the repetitive nature of every 2 or 3 years having a panic and trying to come to a Band-Aid agreement. We need comprehensive funding to support the Access for Everyone program, starting with the first 3 BRTs. Our province has voiced strong support for this plan, but they have been much more circumspect when it comes to funding this new plan. I'll note that the Government of Ontario, which is led by noted left-wing Premier Doug Ford, provides twice the capital funding per capita to transit in the GTA than we see here in British Columbia. So the provincial government needs to catch up to this level of capital support if we have any hope of delivering our plan. We also need the federal government to come forward in a much more significant way. I also want to congratulate Prime Minister Mark Carney on his election and tell him that he'll be hearing from us very, very soon. We appreciate the government's 2021 commitment to a permanent transit fund. It was a big step forward at the time, but a lot has changed since then. We've seen population growth at explosive record numbers. We're dealing with inflation, and we've gone through the pandemic. The federal transit funding seems impressive at about $2 billion over 10 years, but compared to the capital funding that's needed, it falls quite short. So there is certainly work to do, but I want to acknowledge the progress we're making today. I want to thank everyone who has been involved, and I look forward to working with my colleagues, the provincial and federal government, to get the next job done and be able to deliver what the people of Metro Vancouver deserve. With that, I'll ask if there's any other comments, questions? All right, seeing none, unless anyone wishes to call for a recorded vote, we will just have a show of hands. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. With that, I will turn it over to Lorraine.
Thank you for that applause back there. There is much to celebrate with this, so thank you. We have two additional orders of business, and that is to pass a few bylaws that need to be enacted in regards to this investment plan. So the first one is the property tax, and the next one is it's the property tax first, right? Yeah, and then So, yeah, and Patrice, I think we're going to, we're losing half of our audience. Okay, Patrice, you want to come forward?
Great. Thank you so much. Yes, one more step before we enable this investment plan. Annually, we review the property tax and replacement tax. They're based on the revenues that are set out in the investment plan. You've now just approved a new investment plan that is reflected in this report, and you've heard Kevin's presentation. So I won't add any more to that or any more details. There are two, you're correct, there are two bylaws, one for the property tax, one for replacement tax, because they're administered differently, so that facilitates that. And once you approve the bylaws, that also allows us, facilitates the collection of $664 million in property tax and $18 million in replacement tax for 2025. So we'll leave it at that unless there's any questions, Chair.
Thank you very much, Patrice. Any questions, comments in regards to property tax? We'll deal with that one first, and this is a board motion only. So again, thank you for all the work related to this, and it does mark a significant milestone, so we're moving forward with that. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the property tax? And all in favor? That carries. Thank you. And then we'll do the replacement tax bylaw. Patrice, you didn't have any further comments on that?
No.
Okay, thank you. And a mover and a seconder for that? And all in favor? Thank you. That carries. All right. Well, I think that concludes our business for today. I want to thank everyone for your joining us today, and this concludes our joint meeting, which we haven't done for a number of years. So this is wonderful. Thank you very much. Motion to adjourn? Thank you. Seconder? Thank you.